Memorable moments will forever be remembered by everyone who heard them.
4 seconds, 3. Got to do something, man. 15-footer.
He was the link between our team and us. For instance, we all knew that Big Game James was a great basketball player. But it was Chick who also let us know that James's mother would treat the guys to some great home cooking whenever they had the chance to make it down to North Carolina. Chick called games with strict objectivity, but we all knew he was a Lakers fan. His honesty and enthusiasm were always present.
Here's the ball into Campbell. He hadn't made a shot this week. He made it! Oh! Does it count? You want to bet? Of course it counts.
He never wore a uniform, but he will always be a Laker. Welcome, everybody. I'm Paul Sunderland, and it is so hard to imagine that we will never hear that voice again, for on Monday evening, we all lost a treasure with the passing of Chick Hearn. Chick was simply the best basketball play-by-play announcer the game has ever known. There is and will be never a debate on that subject. But that's not why he was so beloved. We also all know that he was so much more. During the next hour, we're going to reminisce with current and former players, broadcast partners. Every pass, every block shot, steal, and score, even without a television.
Scott for 3 to win it. Got it! Got it! The game is over. The Lakers win.
His accomplishments as a broadcaster rivaled those of the teams he described on the court. He was voted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 1991 and became a member of the American Sportscasters Hall of Fame a little later in 1995. 3 years later, Chick became the Iron Man of the broadcast booth, calling his 3,000th consecutive game. The streak wouldn't end until 2001, 3,338 games and 36 years after it began. Chick underwent open heart surgery in mid-December. Before he could make his return to the broadcast booth, Chick broke his hip, sidelining him once again. He did eventually make his return on April 9th, 2002, taking his customary seat next to longtime partner Stu LANTZ.
Here's the ball to the high post. Good pass underneath the Kobe, reverse slam dunk. Oh, what a pass by Walker, but what a finish by Kobe.
Chick called his last game for the Lakers on June 12th, when they won their 9th championship for the Los Angeles franchise. They always say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but for an artist like Chick, it was the words that painted the picture. At times, he colored his canvas in very broad strokes.
Lob under the Shaq. Oh! Shaq rides it home with a right hand slam dunk.
At others, with delicate lines.
The ball into Teagle. There it is. He got it. 9 assists. Terry Teagle, a 20-footer from the right side at the baseline. It hit nothing but net. What a shot. What a pass. What an assist. All-time leader, Magic Johnson.
Hearn's greatest joy was working at his craft, entertaining the Laker faithful with his words-eye view.
The free throw by Magic. He misses 3 in a row. If he misses this one, I'll take you all out to dinner. Everybody, all 17,505. Match. He missed it. But he got the rebound.
Where are we going to meet? Where's it going to be?
I'm gone.
Like every true original, there will never be another one like him.
This game, ladies and gentlemen, is in the refrigerator. The door is closed, the lights are out, the eggs are cooling, the butter getting hard, and I don't know, let's see, the Jell-O's jiggling. I love it.
He loved this life, a life lived behind the mic, where words became pictures and basketball was much more than a game. Incredible. Incredible was Chick Hearn, and we are going to celebrate his life, as I mentioned, over the next hour. And it's now my great honor and privilege to introduce my co-host for this special on Chick, A Life Behind the Mic, Stu LANTZ. Stu, Wonderful to see you in what I know is still a very, very difficult time, particularly for you, particularly for the family. And if I could start there, so many people are concerned with Marge and Shannon, and you have spent many, many hours with them through the last 15 years certainly, but over the last couple of days in this difficult time. How are they doing?
Well, Marge, they're doing quite well indeed. Marge is like Chick, remarkable lady, just remarkable lady, very strong, and we should all get our strength from her.
No question about that, and we've seen during this short piece, and we will certainly have much more videotape and sound of Chick Hearn during the course of this program, but take us back to maybe the first time you met Chick. You had been in broadcasting before. We've shared those stories a little bit, but the first time you met Chick.
Well, on a broadcasting level, it would have been many moons ago, obviously, when I think we were doing a Summer League game or a game back in Nevada, Las Vegas with the Running Rebels. Chick used to do those, and somehow we hooked up and did a game there, and that's really when he told me that if the opportunity ever presented itself, he would like for me to work with him. And, you know, I thought, well, Chick's just being a nice guy, you know, just saying things, but true to his word like he always was. Years later, it opened up, and he gave me a call.
And of course, you had a distinguished playing career in the NBA, and part of that time was spent with the Los Angeles Lakers. The way Chick maybe changed from the early days of his career, and we'll have a chance later when Elgin Baylor comes on to reminisce about those days along with Tommy Hawkins, but when you met him as a player.
Well, as a player, you know, you knew of Chick, you know, because as players back then, there wasn't as much coverage. So Chick was doing, obviously, the radio and some television. But you knew of Chick because he was such a legend even then, the way you would hear about him calling a game. But as a player, you never got the opportunity to be as fortunate as a fan to just sit back and listen to him do that. But he was always kind to you. You know, he'd come down to you on the floor or after the game or whatever, whenever he saw you, and have good things to say about you generally. You know, probably always asking, how's the family? That's just the way Chick was, just always caring about others.
There was a sincerity and an honesty about Chick that anybody who was ever near him, it just came through so clearly. But, you know, as we hear some of his calls back through the years, they were so funny and so quick. Was there a time, and I know there must have been thousands in the 15 seasons you worked together, when you scratched your head and say, what did he say? And it was always so to the point.
Yeah, there were a whole lot of those.
Right.
There were so many times that, and one of his favorite things to say, and I'm sure he said it with other broadcast partners as well, was, am I working alone? Because there would be a period of time where I'd be silent. I wouldn't say anything. And he'd say, am I working alone here? And that was because I had taken my headset off, and I was literally on the floor laughing at what he had said prior to that. The guy was simply, and I used to tell him all the time, take your act to Vegas. You are so funny. You can make a living in Vegas as well as a stand-up. He was quick-witted, at the same time, the best play-by-play going.
No question about it. That rat-tat-tat delivery, and he was fearless. He would tell the truth no matter who the target may have been. And Stu LANTZ is going to be with us throughout the course of this hour, and we welcome Stu once again. And as you might imagine, during this very difficult time, not only with Chick's family, but throughout Southern California, and particularly with the Los Angeles Lakers, a lot of people have been able to think back and reminisce about the impact that Chick Hearn has had on their lives. And here are some comments from the Los Angeles Laker family.
I'm looking for 150. I'm looking for Chick calling 10 more championships, you know. I mean, Chick is the Lakers. I mean, we can all change. Players, we can move on. Chick can never move on, you see. I mean, he's been through so many decades of guys, but you always knew he would be here. You know, he would be calling the games. I mean, when I hit that TV, I'm looking, okay, Chick. Or if I'm in the car, I'm listening to the radio, you know he's gonna come on. And the good thing about him, he never was biased. He always told the truth. He always said if we wasn't playing well, they stinking up the building. Magic is stinking up the place today. Just hope it wasn't too many times. But that's what made him so great. He called it like he saw it.
in '87 I was having a horrible playoff season, and you know, one of his comments was Coop couldn't throw a pea in the ocean. And I mean, what ocean? Is Pacific or Atlantic? Which one are you talking about? But yes, he was, and that made you respect him even more, because he wasn't going to give you any smoke signals, or he wasn't going to tell you something that he didn't believe in. And I think with that, but then again, if you did something well, he'd let you know that too.
We were very close personal friends, and he is an inspiration, but his love of the game was an infectious quality, which certainly came through when Golden Throat started to call a game, because in his own arena, he was a Picasso.
Chick really was our interface with the fans, and Chick explained the game to the fans. He really was able to keep the knowing fan informed, and also bring along new fans. He did it simultaneously, and he was really good at it.
Stay with us. A Life Behind the Mic, a tribute to Chick Hearn, continues after this short timeout.
It's America's best. The Ford Taurus and the Ford Ranger. America's best. Two of America's best-selling vehicles now come with 0% for a full 60 months. That's 0% for 5 years. When you see a deal like this, there's only one thing to do. See your Ford dealer. 5 of America's 10 best-sellers. Ford. America's best.
Record with 14 RBI in his last 2 games. Tied a major league record with his 6th 3-homer game. And Monday hit the field just 1 long ball shy of becoming the 5th player in MLB history to have 5.
Am I thirsty?
Move along, pal. We don't want any trouble.
Look, it says outside that you serve hot dogs.
We do.
Corn dog dipped in crunchy sweet corn batter. Cents.
Like everyone in Los Angeles, and for that matter throughout the sports world in the United States, I mourn Chick Hearn. He was a wonderful human being. However, besides mourning him, I'd like to take time out and utter a prayer of thanksgiving, because we had Chick Hearn and his marvelous talent for many, many years. He not only lived 85 years, he lived doing all of the things that he wanted to do. He was a wonderful husband and father, enjoyed 64 years of marriage. And more than anything else, he fulfilled the definition of a Hall of Fame broadcaster. He was accurate, he was informative, he was entertaining, and above all, you could trust his judgment. If he said it was a good play, it was a good play. If he said it wasn't, you could bet it wasn't. Chick Hearn, the voice of the Los Angeles Lakers, a voice that will never be stilled, even in death.
The comments of Vin Scully, arguably the greatest baseball announcer of his day and maybe all time, and some very true words about the one and only Chick Hearn. Paul Sunderland back with Chick's longtime partner, Stu Lantz, and just remarkable. And what made me think of it in listening to Vin, and Vin has spent much of his career working by himself. And Chick probably wasn't always the easiest guy in the world. There might have been times when you thought, you know, Chick, why don't you just take this one by yourself for a while?
There was a lot of times that Chick worked by himself. I mean, he was that good, though. I mean, to do baseball, and Vin Scully, obviously the best baseball announcer there is. Basketball is a little bit different. I mean, the action is so fast. For Chick to be able to do what he did and do it almost by himself, another test of his abilities.
Incredible. It's been incredible listening to him. I remember the first time back when I was 7 years of age, and Chick's voice has been in our lives forever throughout Southern California. Everybody knows him around the country, and we had a chance here at Fox Sports to sit down with him for his most recent at-length interview.
It's in the refrigerator, the door's closed, the lights are out, the eggs are cooling, the butter getting hard, and the jello jiggling. Can you imagine a man being nuts enough to say that? I got started on it one night. I said it's in the refrigerator, and then somebody made a suggestion about something else. And James Worthy's mother, James Worthy was playing at the time, she said the eggs are cooling. I said, I've never heard that, Mrs. Worthy. And she said, you use it. And so that's part of it.
4 seconds, 3, got to do something, Mavs. 15-footer, go! Kobe gives a Shaq. He's underneath. Slam dunk. Basket counts. Foul. The crowd goes crazy. Bandolier's 50-footer blocked by Wilt. Taken by Wilt. The good reach. Gale's after it. He's got it. He puts it up and in.
As you go back to the first year I was ever with them, that was West and Baylor. They were two favorites. And then you jump ahead, and you're going to forget somebody, of course. But Magic was pretty special.
Did he make a miraculous shot? Yes. Has he ever done it before? You bet he has. Will he ever do it again? Time and time again.
Kareem was special, and now you got Kobe and Shaq. To say that any one of them is the favorite, you don't know, and I love them all. They've made my life. I think the most memorable one moment, there's several of them, when Kareem hit a sky hook at Las Vegas in a neutral court game for the all-time best number of points ever scored by a player. That was something.
Outstand for Kareem to get the ball. Everybody's waving their arms. It's into Kareem. Kareem swing left, right hand, 12-footer.
But I believe in Boston. Boston had never lost a series in the final game. And we're playing in Boston, came down to the clutch situation. Magic drove across the free throw line and made a sky hook with McHale and Parrish both trying to block it, and it won the ball game. I think the first championship, the Lakers had battled Boston in the 60s, year in and year out, and just couldn't beat them because they had Bill Russell at center, and the Lakers had, God bless his soul, he's dead now, Ray Felix, and Ray didn't have the talent. And you have to have a center to win the championship. There's no way about it. That is in cement. And so the favorite moment was when, with Wilt in his second year with the Lakers finally won it, beating the New York Knicks for the title at the Sports Arena. And my son, who is now dead, I'll never forget, he ran and threw his arms around me in the broadcast booth and said, "We finally did it, Dad." I said, "Who's we?" The first time I got to 1,000, I didn't know I was even working on 1,000. And a PR man, whoever he was, said to me, "Tonight's 1,000 consecutive game." And I said, "Gee whiz." Well, then it went to 1,500. And then it went to 2,000, then 2,500, then 3,000. Soon it'll be 3,500. But each time they give me a basketball. Big deal, huh? I got more basketballs than Spalding. Got no place to put her. Give me a car. I got a place to put that.
Chick Hearn obviously had character and at times could be a character. But what's just amazing to me is that night after night, the longevity, which has been talked about so much, but not only long, but great each and every night. I just cannot fathom how he could put together that level of performance for so long, and you were there to see a good portion of it.
Yeah, in the 15 years that I had the pleasure of working with him, it seemed like every night got better for him, you know. There were a lot of nights, believe me, just a test of his professionalism, a lot of nights when he should have stayed home. He was ill, did not feel well at all. But he said, for the fans, I've got to do my job. And it was always about the fans for him.
He was such a large persona, especially in Southern California. But I never saw him act like it. There are so many stories, as we've heard on local radio and television stations, and you've heard on this network, people who had one-on-one contact with Chick. And it's just remarkable how open and how available he made himself to anybody.
I think it's because he felt like he was almost stealing, because they were paying him to do something that he loved so much. And I think he understood his popularity. He understood that. Right. But he handled it better than most of the superstars handle things, whether it's in the sports industry or the entertainment business or whatever the case may be. You can find people that with that kind of celebrity can be really hard to deal with. Chick was very easy to deal with everybody.
Yeah, really remarkable with the public and all of his fans. And I got to look at it firsthand, Stu, when we traveled the country together when I filled in for Chick this past year, 56 games. And I remember going from the Pyramid in Memphis to Atlanta to Miami to Chicago to New York. It didn't matter. By the hundreds, people would come, mostly to you, of course, but to me a little bit, how's Chick? Give him our best wishes. He had a persona that was respected around the country, no question about that. And as you might imagine, reaction to his recent passing has been pouring in from all over the United States. And we start with the voice of the New York Knicks, Marv Albert.
He was a guy who, you know, could just sit down and talk basketball, talk about other things in life, and just really enjoyed himself. Enjoyed being around the players, around the broadcasters, the newspaper people. He just, I mean, this was his life, which was the reason he was still doing it at this late stage. So he's a guy who really will be missed.
If you were to not know who he was, you would think he's a little old man with his little old wife. And we would see them walking down a very steep series of steps down to the arena floor when he'd come into the building about 5 o'clock. And he's kind of hunched over, and he and Marge kind of clinging to each other. And they would immediately walk over to my spot at the press table and shake hands, give Marge a hug. And he'd have something nice and encouraging to say, and then he would kind of trundle off to the other end of the press table where he would work when they were the visitors in our building, and kind of sit down, look like a little old man. He reminded me of my father all the time. And then he and Stu Lantz would go out on the court and get ready for a rehearsal, and the lights would go on, and this little old man just kind of became Chick Hearn. He rose up, I swear 4 or 5 inches taller. He got bigger, the voice got stronger, and he just came to life when the camera, the microphone went on. And I thought, that is amazing.
If you were to take the average Laker fan and say to him, when did Kareem play? What year did Magic? Who was on the team with West and Baylor? What year? They would guess. But if you said to them, who were you listening to? Chick Hearn. And that legacy will go on forever.
I'll tell you how lucky I am. I went to the Chick Hearn School of Broadcasting. I had to sit with headphones on for 2 years with him, and we worked about 200 games. And listening to him, I used to tell myself, you know, if I ever get a chance to do play-by-play, this is the way to do it. And when I got that chance, I got a tape from Chick and listened to that over and over and talked to him about the business. And he gave me some great tips. He was a wonderful man. He had time for everybody.
Reaction to the passing of Chick Hearn has been overwhelming from around the country, as I mentioned going into some of those sound bites, and such a diverse group of people reacting very differently to Chick's career, his life, and his passing. Why do you think his appeal was so broad?
Well, I think it's just because he was so much a down-to-earth guy. It wasn't that he tried to use his celebrity status in any way whatsoever. Everybody could relate to Chick. He could talk to anybody, and he did talk to anybody and everybody.
Listening to Chick do his radio call-in show prior to games throughout his career was remarkable to me. Where did the energy come from to do that call-in show and then do a full simulcast of a game? Really incredible.
And he enjoyed that call-in show so much, so much. I mean, he looked forward to going to the arena and getting on the phone with the fans and being able to talk to them. He wanted their feedback on how they felt of issues, whether it was how the Lakers were playing, whatever the case may be. Chick wanted to know.
That was the connection. The connection was his affection for the fans. Yes. He loved them, they loved him, and he was always honest, no doubt about it. Stu Lantz, Chick Hearn's partner for 15 years, but prior to Stu's tenure, there were a few other partners, and they're going to join us here on the set as we continue to look back at the incredible career of Chick Hearn, a life behind the mic.
Join us Saturday, August 17th for the America Works for Kids Soapbox Derby in front of Ford Motor Company in the Irvine Spectrum. Come on down for food, fun, and festivities and cheer on our local foster kids. For more information, call 949-278-2040.
For the most extreme sports, now ESPN2 and Six Flags Magic Mountain want you to experience all that is extreme with a Drop Zone sweepstakes. Call 1-866-2-6-FLAGS for your chance to win the grand prize package of a trip for 4 to a local extreme sports championship event at a secret location. 2-night, 3-day hotel accommodations, 2 Six Flags season passes, ESPN goodies, and $500 cash. Plus, 50 first prize winners receive a 4-pack of Six Flags Magic Mountain tickets to experience the Rush of Goliath, Deja Vu, and more. Visit enterquick.com and call this number now.
He was always the most prepared person that I had worked with, and I was just in awe of how much it meant to him to be able to do such a good job. And even on the Sparks games, which the women's game was new to him, the players' names were new, the calls and the coaches, and but he really made an effort. And two things I remember about working the Sparks games. One is that he called me Stu, and so I was like, I knew that I had made it, that he had really felt comfortable with me to be able to call me Stu. And the other thing is I remember a lot of the fans coming up and they were upset at Chick because he kept calling them girls. And I finally said, look, they are girls to him, because a lot of people at this stage, you know, they should be called women, ladies, players. But to Chick, he's in his 80s. They're girls to him. Let it go. And to me, it was like, respect the work that this man does and how much he cares about the game in calling the WNBA.
Another Hall of Famer, Ann Myers, one of Chick Hearn's partners for a brief period of time on Sparks games, and now Paul Sunderland back with Stu Lantz. Stu for 15 years, and joining us now on the set, two former partners of the one and only Chick Hearn. Lynn Shackelford for 8 years, from 70 to 78, and then Keith Erickson, also a Los Angeles Laker and a teammate of Tommy Hawkins and Elgin Baylor, from 79 to 87. Wonderful to have you on with us as we remember an incredible life of Chick Hearn. But Lynn, first of all, if I can start with you, you were a very, very young broadcaster when you were thrown sheep to the wolves, if you will. How about the early baptism?
It was tough at times. I was 22 years old, and Chick was my age now, about 55, and he was a veteran. And he was still getting used to the idea of having a color announcer. That was about his 4th or 5th year that I was there, that he had an announcer, because remember, the first 5 or 6 years, he didn't have an announcer, and in his opinion, didn't need one. And maybe in my opinion, and everybody else's, probably didn't need one either. I mean, the guy could do the play-by-play, he could coach, he could officiate, and decide and put the promos in. So, you know, what was I going to add? So I took kind of a back seat and worked in slowly, and it worked out great.
No question about that. And then, Keith, along came your opportunity. Pat Riley in there briefly as the change was made from one coach to another. How about your earliest memories of sitting next to Chick Hearn?
Well, it was interesting. I had played with the Lakers, as you mentioned a moment ago, so that was back probably 10 years before, and so I had known Chick, and we were friends from back when I had played 5 years, and not only, you know, with Chick, but my wife and Chick's wife were friends and have been ever since. So I came in did a little different circumstances, and I had done some broadcasting for CBS at the time, you know, just prior to that. So I'd had a little bit of experience and knew him as a friend, so came in, but still, you know, it takes a little while to get to know you know, Chick's, whenever he takes a breath, you get an opportunity, and that's it, you know, so you got to get it in there. But so it takes a little while to learn his cadence and what he expects out of his color commentator. So it was fun. It was a great opportunity. It was something that I'll never forget.
How many times or how many years did it take before your fingers or your toes didn't get slammed in that window when, you know, you were trying to learn his cadence and you didn't quite have his cadence and bam?
I like that, getting used to his cadence. Chick was the most rapid guy I ever knew, and we had a signal that when he wanted me to stop talking, he would do this. Well, I might go a little bit beyond this, so then after a while it was this. But it was great training for an announcer. You learn to get in and get out. You don't, you know, ramble on and on and on, and it was brilliant training working with him that way, and he knew that, and he knew it was better for you that you learned to do it that way.
Well, it's funny, he didn't do that anymore when I joined him, and maybe it's because I don't ramble a whole lot. I don't talk a lot. So whenever, and it really is, you know, when he would take a breath or hesitate, you know, you had a chance to get in, and you got in and you got out as quickly as possible. But I mean, even still through the, you know, the end of my 8th year with him, I mean, we're still, you know, jumping on him a little bit, as because he can't wait to get back in again. He's so excited about you know, when that play starts going again. I mean, he's calling the action, and to heck with what you're saying, he's calling that action. You know, no matter how important you think the comment is.
It wasn't out of lack of respect for what you were saying.
Yeah.
He was so excited, and his mind was so unbelievable. He had 6 things going that he wanted to get across.
That's right.
And so he couldn't wait to try to get at least 3 or 4 of them in.
He only had 1 ball game to get all those things in.
Right.
Yeah.
The game came first, every dribble, every pass of the ball. Now, each of you had tenures of 8, 7 years. Stu had 15.
Oh, well, they wore him down enough for...
They greased the skids a little bit?
They wore him down, so it made it a little easier on me.
I thought that no one would ever work with Chick as long as I did, and then Keith shattered that record, but Stu
doubled it.
It. I mean, that's remarkable, and I think maybe Chick in the last few years became kind of beloved by everyone, and I think maybe you were in a little different role than I was 30 years ago.
Well, he was definitely beloved by everyone, that's for sure. I mean, not only here in Los Angeles, but as you know, everywhere that the Lakers traveled, Chick was the guy.
Kind of a legend when he walked into the arena, everyone
absolutely,
knew.
absolutely.
Wow.
We've got to take a quick break, excuse me. More on the relationship that Los Angeles had with the one and only Chick Hearn, as well as fellow broadcasters who shared the hot seat, if you will, with him for 30 of his 42 years. We'll be back with our tribute to Chick Hearn right after this short timeout.
Which is a classic example of return on investment. Perhaps you have an example, sir?
Certainly. a Dell PC. Allow me to demonstrate. A Dell Expert helps you get the right PC for you. Add the powerful mobile Pentium 4 processor M. Sweet. Factor in award-winning service and support, and you get great value for minimum investment. Cost-benefit analysis would be redundant.
Impressive. Not so fast, sir talks a lot.
Call or go online now and get an Inspiron notebook for $11.99, featuring a mobile Intel Pentium 4 processor M with awesome performance for music, digital photos, gaming, and beyond. And for a limited time, you can get a free memory upgrade. Other notebooks start at just $9.99. Act now, and you could even win a $50,000 vacation. Easy to buy, easy to own, easy as Dell.
Chick lived life like nobody else. He always felt he was the luckiest guy on earth because of the fact that he was getting paid to call Laker games.
The first time I met Chick was in the offices of Prime Ticket when we were located across the street from the Forum before we moved over to Century City. And I had gone to a meeting with Chick, and I was telling him how many more fans we're going to be able to see and hear him now that we were telecasting the Laker games throughout the whole regional area. And his first question was, how much more do I get paid for this? Chick, you know, like a lot of good sportscasters, had an amazing photographic memory. I've always been, as you could tell, a University of Connecticut basketball fan. And back in 91 and 92, UConn had never gotten any further than the Final Eight. And Chick used to always razz me about that. Several years later, in 99, UConn wins the national championship. One of the first calls I got was from Chick. 7 years later, out of the clear blue, he goes, "Congratulations, Severino, they finally did it." You know, he reminded me a lot of Howard Cosell with the fact that he had a really photographic memory.
Chick had an eye for everything that was going on in a basketball court and in the arena as well, hearing from Magic Johnson as well as John Severino, first president of Prime Ticket, which was the first entity in Los Angeles to carry Laker basketball games on cable television and later became, of course, Fox Sports Net. Thank you for staying with us. Paul Sunderland with Stu Lantz, Lynn Shackelford, and Keith Erickson. Now, a lot of the best stories, quite frankly, are being told during the commercial breaks. We have to change that habit right now. And if you will, and I know as you were driving over, and again, thank you for your time, I've thought so much about Chick and your life experiences with him the last couple of days since his passing on Monday. Your favorite times with Chick, your favorite story?
Well, there are an awful lot of stories. In thinking about this, I was just thinking about how much he loved the sport. He loved basketball. And he loved the Laker organization, you know, after the injury that he had and everything. I mean, he couldn't wait to get back. And it was every summer. I would call Marge during the summer and say, you know, is Chick around? Yeah, he's around. He's trimmed every hedge from the top of Encino down to Ventura Boulevard. Will you find something for him to do?
Right.
He just loved it so much. Right. He couldn't wait to get back to have the season begin again. It was besides his family. His children, his wife, Marge, that he loved so much. They did everything together. He loved the sport of basketball, and he loved the Lakers. He loved the players, the guys that you just had in here, Tommy Hawkins and Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, all the way down through every era. He loved the players. He loved being around them, and he just loved the sport, and he gave his all to it. You know, I was just seeing this picture here. I mean, it's a fabulous picture of Chick Hearn. He just, and and everybody loves him. Everybody loved him. Everybody in Los Angeles loved, and Chick was making some mistakes the end of his, you know, he made some mistakes throughout his career, making a little bit more at the end, but everybody overlooked it because he was bigger than life, because he educated all of Southern California on the game of basketball, and they loved him for it.
Lynn, you saw him at the earliest stage of the three of you gentlemen here, but the same energy that he had, as you mentioned, when he was then 55, I saw when he came back last season, or all of these most recent seasons, when he was in his early to mid-80s. That just blows my mind.
I was 22 years old. Lakers would be playing their third game in 3 nights. I'd be dead tired, drag myself down to the Forum for a game, and Chick would already be there, enthusiastic. The stamina was just incredible, the enthusiasm. The Lakers, and he hated it when the Lakers got eliminated early in the playoffs because it just made the off season so much longer for him. He was always ready to go. What I remember is he could get away with more on the air than anybody else. He could say, coming out of the backcourt for the Chicago Bulls is Bobby Weiss with the lights in the Forum glinging off his premature bald head. Now, he did, but he never went across the line. It was in a good-natured way. He wasn't making fun of the fact the guy was bald. He was making fun of the fact that it was shiny. Well, a little bit.
What a gift for observation.
Yeah.
Who would have noticed, and who would have been able? That's what he brought into people's living rooms.
And
that sort of description.
They loved him.
And he could get it. You know, Susan, hold that. I want to see that replay. Hold that. Or don't interrupt live action with a replay. But I remember, the most I remember, biggest thing was in the off season we went to a school for blind kids. And when he walked on that campus, these kids went crazy. Chick, Chick, Chick. They knew every one of his sayings. They listened to all the games. And I thought, boy, if there's ever a defining moment of a man who could paint a picture with words, these kids could visualize the basketball game on his play-by-play. So we would go over there to cheer up the kids, and we would come away, of course, uplifted. I mean, Chick was just astounded at how they knew him.
You mentioned defining moment, and just from my perspective, I thought last year was Chick's defining moment. 84 years of age, going on 85, the heart valve surgery, the hip replacement, and he came back. How in the world? Was that his greatest accomplishment? And also during that time, he was able, in his absence, he saw the love and affection that people had for him, not just here in Los Angeles, but around the country. Was that his greatest moment when he came back last year?
Very well may have been, but I think what Keith said is, you mentioned he came back, but he came back so fast. I mean, you're talking about heart surgery, a broken hip, and he beats the odds with the time frame. You know, I thought he'd be back, but I thought he would be back the following season, to start the season. I talked to him on the phone a lot, and he would tell me, I'm close, I'm close. Close wasn't the word. I mean, he was really close. Obviously, he got back in time to finish the regular season.
But remember when that was happening, he wanted to come back a couple of weeks before. The doctors wouldn't let him. Yeah. He wanted to come back even before that.
That's Chick. But let me ask you this. Was he always as impatient? No, I mean, seriously, no patience whatsoever.
Somebody asked me yesterday, what is one word to describe Chick? Impatient. You know, I walked into the studio and I said, well, as Chick would say, let's go. I got to catch a plane. and that's the way he was. Come on, let's go. I got to catch a plane. And somebody would be, Chick, can I get your autograph? Yeah, hurry up, though. I got to catch a plane. Let's go.
Right. But that pace and the speed at which his mind worked.
Never a dull moment around him.
But it was perfect to the rhythm and pace of basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, it was meant to be. We just have a few moments left if we could, and I apologize for interrupting. I want to thank you both for coming in and sharing your memories with us. But Lynn, your final thoughts.
The right guy at the right place at the right time. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And then he went on and on and on. It was remarkable that he was great in the 60s and the 70s, but then to carry it through the 90s, it just astounds me.
Yeah, unbelievable. Keith?
The thing that I'm thinking about Chick is I will never forget his voice and his enthusiasm. You hear a lot of broadcasters as you go across the dial and you travel around the country and you listen to games, you know, even on the networks. You know, you hear broadcasters. Whenever I would pop that button and I would hear it in the middle of a comment, you know, just the enthusiasm that he had for the game, the love he had for the game, I will never forget his voice. And he just absolutely irreplaceable.
That's true. Impatient maybe. irreplaceable. That is also true. Thanks so much for your time. Lynn Shackelford and Keith Erickson, Stu Lantz and I will be right back. And as Keith mentioned, Tommy Hawkins and Elgin Baylor were in visiting with us moments ago. We'll be back with our tribute to Chick Hearn right after this short timeout.
In January of 2002, the state of California enacted a law to limit the marketing of credit cards on college campuses. A college student, fearing that the debt he had so quickly run up would take a lifetime to pay off, killed himself. On an average day, college students are hearing from over 1,200 credit card vendors on campuses across America. I'm Harvey Warren, president of the National Consumer Council, urging all states to follow California's lead. The state legislatures of Maryland, Tennessee, North Carolina, Oklahoma, North Dakota, and New York are considering similar bills right now. Students, remember, credit is not a gift, it's a loan. A loan you have to pay back. Credit cards are serious business. Giving them away with sweatshirts and beer mugs is worse than irresponsible. It's deadly. We're the National Consumer Council, raising our voice for a debt-free America.
I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss not hearing his voice. I'm going to miss him making fun of me missing free throws. I'm going to miss him calling me Kareem at times. And I'm just going to miss him. For me, on a personal note, I'm just glad that the last 2 years for Chick have been championship years. He's seen a lot of great big men. And one day on the bus, he sat me down after a tough game. Actually, it was this year after a tough game, after a tough loss to Sacramento. And he put his hand on my knee, because I sit on the back of the plane. And he said, Shaq, I've seen a lot of them. I've seen Mikan, I've seen Russell, I've seen Chamberlain, I've seen Kareem. But you are the most dominant and you are the best. And that's something special coming from a guy like Chick Hearn. And he said a lot of things, but I remember that the most.
Those comments obviously meant an awful lot to now three-time NBA champion Shaquille O'Neal, being called the best by the very best that basketball broadcasting has known in Chick Hearn. Thanks for staying with us. Paul Sunderland, joined by Stu Lantz, and now a couple of very special guests. Hall of Famer Elgin Baylor, now general manager of the Los Angeles Clippers, and Tommy Hawkins, also working in the front office with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Thank you very much for your time and coming in. And you're two of the original Los Angeles Lakers, and you both had a chance to see firsthand the impact that Chick Hearn could have on the popularity of your then, quite frankly, fledgling basketball team.
Yes.
Okay, Tommy.
Since he helped me in my election to player representative when we were playing, I'll speak first. Yes, it was, because when the Dodgers came to Los Angeles, they came with fanfare and ticker tape parades, and everybody knew them and they loved baseball. We drove in through San Bernardino at midnight, and no one knew we were here. So we had to build the franchise. We had to make it go. We had to sell basketball to these people. And part of the selling process, a great part of the selling process, was Chick Hearn.
He called his first game for the Los Angeles Lakers not until the 1961 playoffs, although the Lakers started here in 1960. Those games before that were never broadcast. But as we were talking about before in preparation for doing this program, Chick was not unknown in Los Angeles. And actually, Elgin, you had a chance to cross paths with him even prior to that when you were a collegian.
For the Bradley Braves, Bradley University, that's when I first met Chick. I don't know if he was a play-by-play announcer, but so happened he was connected with Bradley, because I remember we played Bradley in Peoria, and then they came to Seattle. And then I got a chance to meet Chick, talk with Chick then. And lo and behold, Chick ends up, with the Lakers. And it was great, to see Chick again. But I really didn't know anything about Chick, what kind of person or anything he was. But once you get to know Chick, as you know, you love Chick. I mean, Chick is witty, he's humorous, he's a fun guy to be around. And one good thing I liked most about Chick, but Chick was a real person. He says what was on his mind. And he had a lot of compassion and love for people. He loved people, and he was the type of person that he's a man of his word, honorable guy, and a person you could trust. And I enjoyed, you know, the time I had with Chick where we played a lot of cards together, and I wanted to always thank Chick for letting me win, you know. And,
a couple of sides to that story.
Well, you know, Chick wanted to make sure, he said, I guess he told Stu that he wanted to make sure that I ate well and was strong, that I, you know, played well, and I thank him for that, you know. But he was a fun guy, and, you know, was a practical joker, you know, to always put you on, say things, give scores, and telling you about a guy that probably doesn't even play, score 40 points, and, you know, with a straight face. And he was fun to be around.
Yes, he was. And getting back to the Gen games between Elgin and Chick, there was one trip that Elgin was really hot and he was on a winning streak. And Chick got on the plane here in Los Angeles, reached into his pocket and gave Elgin his per diem check. He said, I'd rather give it to you now than later, but we'll still play the game.
It'll still cash it.
Exactly.
You know, we're going back into a different generation of players, but from the very beginning, Chick was always, if you will, brutally honest. If you were good, you were good. If you were bad, boy, there was no hesitating in calling that. You never saw any change, did you, from, let's say, the generation of Tommy and Elgin into the years that you were playing with Stu, with Chick, excuse me?
No, not at all. I mean, if you made a bad play, you had to be ready to take what Chick said, and he was going to tell the truth. I mean, he wasn't going to try to sugarcoat it. If you made a good play, he gave you your props there as well, but he was brutally honest at times, and sometimes players and even coaches would not appreciate some of the comments that he would make, but you had to know coming in that this is Chick and this is the way he did things.
Oh, Chick was brutal. Chick came to me one day, and I would always struggle at the free throw line. You know, that wasn't my forte. You know, I was into the battle of the game, but when you had to stand there by yourself and just calmly sink that free throw, I had problems with that. And Chick came to me one day and he said, Hawk, he says, we've called Ray Charles. And asked him to come over and help you with your free throw shooting.
As we were talking, though, you said that, Elgin, you were saying that Chick always had the needle out. It was always ready. It was never ill-natured, but he could carry it off. He was a very good actor.
Probably Stu knows this, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was curious as to, I knew over the last 15, 20 years how much of a kneeler he was, an instigator, but obviously he was even that back when you were playing around him.
Oh, he would do that, and he would take it to the extreme sometimes, like we're fighting for a playoff position and we wanted to get home court advantage. And we would win. He would tell us the next day that the other team that was right with it had won by 30 points or something like that, you know, and they lost probably by 20 points. And, you know, later on he would just laugh, you know, about it. But he would pull tricks like that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that surprises me in having grown up here in Los Angeles and remembering back, I think my first Laker broadcast was when I was 6 or 7 years old. So I've listened to you play. I've listened to Chick describe your performances. But it seems, and I get the impression, that he was the same with respect to his confidence and his sense of humor and his approach to the way he called games on day one as he was 42 years later. And a lot of people aren't. They have to reach a particular position. They go, okay, I've arrived now. Now I can be myself. He was an original from day one.
Oh, definitely. Chick, let's go back to high school. I'm from Illinois, and we had the state tournament. Chick still owns a record for broadcasting 8 basketball games, 8 tournament games in one day. You know, just incredible. Coming out to Los Angeles, he did USC football and basketball, you know, and he was always prepared. I'm sure that Stu can tell you, if you're not as prepared as he is when you sit down to the table with you, you're going to suffer that evening because he's going to be all over you, and you don't know when he's going to throw it to you and what he's going to ask of you.
The test was coming any moment. We are just out of time and want to thank you again for coming in on this very special occasion. A sad time indeed, but there is an awful lot to celebrate and be thankful for. And if I can, each of you, your final thoughts. Elgin?
Well, I said this, you know, Chick is gone, the body is gone, but I think no doubt his spirit lives on, will live on forever within us, the people that love him and the people that knows him.
Tommy?
Chick was the perennial Lakers. The Baylors, the Hawkins, the Russos, the Chamberlains, and all of these people came and they left. But Chick was the person who was always coming back year after year. And he always talked about the refrigerator. And I'm sure that in his absence, When we open that refrigerator door and the light comes on, you're going to see Chick's face immediately jabbing somebody.
He was remarkable. Thank you so much for your time. Elgin Baylor, Tommy Hawkins, our very special guest. Stu Lantz and I will be back once again after this short time out, our continuing tribute to Chick Hearn, a lifetime behind the mic. And when we come back, you'll get to hear some of Chick's most famous calls once again, as well as the whole lexicon of Chickisms. Stay with us.
Recognized as one of California's most innovative community colleges, it's Irvine Valley College. With 65 associate degrees offered, Irvine Valley College will prepare you for the 4-year university or career that you've been striving for. And if you're an athlete, IVC has competitive sports for both men and women, including a new men's baseball program. Enroll now for only $11 per semester unit. Irvine Valley College. Visit us at ivc.edu or call 451-5100.
What do you think of when you hear real-time sight and sound? Now, most people will say big screen TV. That's because they've been on television selling big screens for over 15 years. Big screens are great, but you've got to have the right sound, too. Sound makes the picture come alive. Come check out the huge selection of speakers, audio components, and surround sound systems at Real-Time Sight and Sound and find the right sound system for you. You know you got to have it. You know you're going to get it, so why wait? Get it right now at Real-Time Sight and Sound, Coast Highway, Dana Point. Isn't it about time your big screen came alive?
The Lakers have the ball. Magic Johnson coming down the floor on a fast break. Magic stops. His feet slip out from under it. The ball flies out of his hand. Hits the referee in the head. Goes in the basket. It's a three-point play. The Lakers win.
Looked like I pulled a homer. Paul Sunderland back with Stu Lantz, and Chick was always very animated during a basketball telecast, but animated in real life, if you will, on that episode of The Simpsons. But I think another look in terms of why he was so endearing, if you take yourself too seriously, you don't do a show like that. He loved to have fun, and people around him enjoyed it.
Yeah, he really did like to have fun. Some years ago, we used to do some funny skits in our opens, and I mean, he was all for those. Even just a couple of years ago, we were down in Memphis, and we donned our Elvis look-alike stuff with our glasses and our sideburns, and he really enjoyed doing things like that. And you're right, a lot of other people wouldn't put themselves in that position.
Yeah, if you put yourself on a pedestal, if you thought yourself to be too important, too above that sort of shtick, if you will, Chick wouldn't do it. No. But that was certainly, again, part of his appeal. And as time is winding down on this special, we want to get you back to, one last time, some of Chick's best calls. Hard to find a best. They were all great, including some of his favorite Chickisms.
7 on the timer. Van Leer's 50-footer blocked by Wilkes. Taken by Wilkes. Look at me. Gale's after it. He's got it. He puts it up and in.
Cross-guard pass to Hollins. Left hand throws and rolls. Spin and out. Hard for race. Rebound to Kareem. Long pass to Nixon. Ahead of the pack. Here comes the Doc. Oh, what a shot block. What a great play. The Lakers are out of timeouts. No timeouts left. The ball to Magic. Dribble drive. Down the middle. Out to Coop. 18-footer. Here comes Magic. He's got it. He throws it on the way for three. Good! 108-105. I'm going to tell you the truth. Inbound pass, and here's Magic with the ball. The game is over. The Lakers are the world champions. But takes it, gives to Green under the Worthy, slam dunk. Down the middle, in deep, lays it down, and here he comes, 3 on 3. He's in the air, he feeds it over to Jones. Jones slam dunk, coming in the right wing, and another standing ovation. Dribble drive down the middle, in deep, bank shot, no good, rebound shot, up, slam dunk. Out with the ball, we got Bryant. Bryant drives the base. He's around everybody. He's under it. Reverse layup is good. I don't believe what I just saw. It's a 3-on-2 break. Van Exel in the middle. Hops his way down the middle. Throws it up and in. Showtime. Holds it up and gives to Chapman. In the end, shot blocked by Kobe. Stolen by Kobe. Volleyball by Kobe. Underneath the basket. Slam dunk by Kobe. Talk about the plays of the night. Woo! It's Fisher with the steal. And he drops it out of bounds and slides over in front of the Laker bench. Well, Burka likes that because he slid on Burka's shoe, and that's a free shoe shot. This one's in the refrigerator. Oh, wow. Noise throws, the lights are off, the eggs are cooling, the butter getting hot. I'm not going to jiggle tonight.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
Since I got out of the pool.
It's in the refrigerator. The Lakers have qualified to play Sacramento.
Poland, Luciano Jiggling.
It seems almost inevitable that the description of a chickism, that's now going to become part of the basketball lexicon. After so many that he developed, I think if another announcer in another city obviously comes up with something clever, it may well be referred to as a chickism. That's how unique, and not necessarily your favorite, but was there one that popped out that was brand new that you went, oh, there we go again?
Ah, wow, there were so many. There were so many. I think the one that probably stood out the first and foremost for me was the popcorn machine, because when I first heard Chick say that, I felt, did he actually do a game at the University of Nebraska? Because at the old arena that I played in at Nebraska, there was a popcorn machine not far off the end of the court. So you could have very easily got faked and ran into that machine and come out with salt and butter all over you.
Right, and we will never, nor should we. You can't take out slam dunk, you can't take out air ball, but the bunny hop and the pea patch, Jerry West putting someone into the popcorn machine, we should not hear those again.
And there are going to be a lot that we won't hear again. And if I am watching a game somewhere on our days off when the Lakers aren't playing, and if I hear someone utter some of those, I might have to make a phone call, because those are one of a kind. I had some people once ask me when he was out for the 56 if I would do the refrigerator bit, and I said, absolutely not. There's only one person allowed to do the refrigerator.
Right, no question. I got asked the same thing, and I said exactly the same thing, and we did it independently. Only want to hear that from one person.
Exactly.
No question. Stu, you've been very generous with your time, and I know at a difficult time for you, your family, and of course the Hearn family. If we could impose on you for your final thoughts.
Again, I just would like to voice my opinion, like all the fans, how fortunate I am, along with them, to have been able to be a part of Chick's life. As short as it was in my term, 15 years, that's a short time to spend with somebody, but I enjoyed each and every moment of it. And like I said before, he's left an enormous void.
Yeah, that cannot be filled, and never, ever will be filled. And he was just a giving person, and gave the game of basketball, gave Southern California and the country so many incredible gifts. And as you all know, there have been thousands of players who have worn the Laker uniform, some good, some great, and some even champions. They've scored, rebounded, blocked shots, and assisted teammates. And through it all, there has been only one constant since 1961, and that, of course, was Chick Hearn. He was the best and always will be. Thank you, Chick, and goodbye.